you need something new to listen, out of all the other shit, Bass Tapes has what you need, and it goes like this. Every other Friday morning, you get a little treat, something not too long and feels more complete. Bass Tapes, Bass Tapes, Bass Tapes. Please listen to our Bass Tapes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Bass Tapes, episode 5. Thank you everyone for all the love and support that we've been experiencing for the new show. I highly appreciate it. And today we have a very, very special guest, someone that is not in our frame of community, someone who is not associated with the old school RuneScape community, a very big personality from the Counter-Strike skins community, TDM Heyzeus. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
It's my pleasure.
Initially, when I asked you to be on this, the main thing, I was watching one of your videos and you always have the old school RuneScape music for your background.
I do. Yeah, well, for years now.
I was like, maybe this guy is like a big RuneScape head and like may like know of us or have heard of us. And maybe we could find like some common ground with RuneScape and Counter-Strike and talk about that. And what did you tell me when I sent you the DM?
About my music, sorry, you have to jog my memory.
You basically said that you weren't that deep into the RuneScape community and you just used the music that you were
I
just a fan of the music.
I know a bit about it.
Yeah.
I played it as a kid, like a lot of kids do. So I'm very, very fond of the music. It's a bit of an idler for me sometimes, depending how I'm feeling. Sometimes I'll bring it up to idle, particularly while I'm reviewing VOD, because if I do like 12 hours of unboxing streams, I've got to go through that unboxing stream often multiple times to chop it all up. So it's an idler. Sometimes I'll find a safe spot and I don't know, shoot dragons or stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I cycle games, depends how I feel. I'm bad at doing quests because, I'm not really using it in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's got, some old school charm. It's obviously was something that was big when I was growing up. So I'm quite fond of it in that respect.
It's the nostalgia is still there for you.
Yeah, the nostalgia is still there. It's just a charming classic game. It's got an actual economy in it, which I always thought was one of its strengths.
Mm-hmm.
But for all the bad things that has led to.
Yeah, bad, good, interesting. It depends on who you are. Some people have greatly benefited from the old school RuneScape economy. I have many friends who have done the unspeakable horror of real world trading, or someone in your world just playing the game.
just trading, as we call it.
Yeah, just part of the economy. And I mean, RuneScape it's a black market economy for sure, but just because it's off the record doesn't mean it's like not a thriving economy. And it has its ups and its downs, its ebbs and its flows, its exploits, the dupes. I mean, that's one thing that the games do have in common is that they are not shy to conspiracy and to calamity. I feel like the RuneScape community and the Counter-Strike community both share that in common with its marketplaces.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, Valve is too afraid to do anything really with a lot of the problems within the skin scene because they're worried what it'll do to the game. And my understanding is gets went a lot harder, and it was a bit of a disaster for them in some respects, wasn't it? They paid a big price for trying to cut down the black market stuff.
Yes, they got rid of the will. Yeah, at some point, I want to say it was after 2007, in like the 2009, maybe 2010 era, where they got rid of the wilderness and they put a trade limit on. And in terms of Counter-Strike, let's say you're trading for a skin, you can't have a trade that differs more than like a certain percentile. So you wouldn't be able to trade a $2 skin for a $1,000 skin. It would have to be like somewhat equitable for the trade to happen. And that's what RuneScape was. So you couldn't buy or sell gold, essentially. They shut it down, but it killed the game. It wasn't fun to play the game.
Yeah, well, you mess with this stuff at your own peril. One thing also, though, now that obviously I'm playing Video RuneScape as an adult, GP seems a lot easier to come by than I remember it being back in like 2007. Like back then, 100,000 GP was like, oh, crazy money. Nowadays, I get a couple of million, and I'm like, was this easy back in the day?
Uh,
Is there more money, or was I just shit back then? What was going on?
I think everyone was shit back then. I think there was a very select few of people that actually knew what was going on, and it was the adults at the time. And even then, they didn't really even know what was going on. But now, like with we're in like an information renaissance on the internet, especially with the old school RuneScape wiki, all the content creators and guide makers, to even RuneLite having plugins like Quest Helper. You said you were struggling with Quest Helper. I highly recommend you download RuneLite and get the extension called Quest Helper. It's literally Skyrim. It tells you where to go, what items to have, everything you'll need, the required levels. I mean, it's really simple now.
People do these quests back in the day. Like I tried doing Tourist Trap. I don't know how you do that without
Trial and error.
Guide. How much trial and error? Like 20 hours?
Oh, dude, it also
It's mental.
forms. Like we forget that like forms existed back in the day. So what if you got stuck somewhere? What you would have to do is either go to the official forums, see if someone has gone through your problem or has solved your problem, or you're like making a new post and you're praying to God that someone responds with the right information instead of telling you to cross the wilderness line at this time of day and then they kill you for all your stuff. It's
okay. That's natural selection, isn't it?
Oh, dude, that was
Cross them.
dude. RuneScape back in the day when I was like 8 years old was such a wasteland. I'll never forget like meeting like my first quote unquote internet friend, and then him luring me out to the wilderness, killing me for all my stuff, and I had no idea what was going on. He didn't get anything, but he killed me. So
I remember. Well, I just remember the banks back in the day where people would be just advertising their stuff at the banks. There was no grand exchange. Just be you go to world number one and start saying selling coal for 300 GP each.
Yep.
That was the really classic stuff I remember.
Yeah, it was either Fally Park or going to Varrock West was a couple places. You had
Varrock and Fally. They had the banks, and I remember if I knew what I was doing, I probably could have made a lot of money just by buying and reselling. But obviously, I was a kid. I had no idea this stuff was too complicated.
No, I know.
So-
You just had to play the game. And my question: are you playing on a main, or are you playing on like an Iron Man, Ultimate Iron Man, Hardcore?
I've got an alt at the moment. I've got two accounts. I've got an alt that's just basically pure mage at the moment. I've got another account that's like level 80 or something. They're not particularly developed, but I don't know. I like being pure on one particular skill. For no particular reason. I just think thematically it's a bit funny to be running around with like maxed out magic and nothing else. That's how I like to play.
No, it's a good gimmick account. It's very very classical, very casual, and those are our favorite types of players here. We hate the Iron Mans. We hate the maxed cheese capers. We don't people that put 2,500 hours in the game. We don't like you. You're a loser.
Aren't those like the most hardcore viewers? Are you sure you should be insulting them?
No, they love it. They're sadomasochists. They max a RuneScape account.
Are they? Okay.
They love.
Okay, well, I did see that. What was it? This 5,000 hours in Sylvania. Or what's the area with the vampires? Is it Sylvania?
It is
What's it called?
Canifis, Mortania.
Mortania. Okay, Sylvania is Warhammer Fantasy and a suburb in Sydney. Real place you can go to in Sydney. But yeah, and he's figured out this way to level up his smithing to level 50, and I'm just going to do this loop for 200 hours. I'm like, Jesus Christ, mate.
Are you I think you're talking about Settle's series Swampletics.
I think so. I'm thinking of that one. I think I saw a compilation video. And he's just doing this he's like intentionally. He's like failing this agility challenge for 3 XP at a time and taking like 8 damage to level up his agility.
Yep.
That's mental.
Yeah, that's the Mr. Beast of RuneScape, by the way. He changed the entire meta for RuneScape content creation. That guy right there, single-handedly.
Yeah. Oh, that's a very that's very difficult content to make, but that's certainly what I sort of see as very sophisticated modern content where it's you're doing an extensive challenge with a set end goal. It's highly edited. It's well paced. It's well structured. You're narrating everything. You're curating thousands and thousands of hours of footage to get a cohesive whole with a narrative that that's again, that's like top tier content. That's how it should be done.
Yes.
So I can see why he's the Mr. Beast of the scene.
No, he well, obviously there's been people before him, even after him, that's doing a really good job carrying the torch, and like he's still going to this day as well. I mean, he's an OG at this point, but yeah, he really is like the Michael Scorsese of RuneScape. He he took a step beyond of like what RuneScape content creators were doing, and was like, let's make this a movie. Let's give this narrative. Let's give this meaning. Let's good B-roll, good action sequences, good music, good narration. I mean, he really went for it all, and then on like such a hard concept of his what they're called his snowflake accounts. So he's an ultimate Iron Man that's region locked to this one place in the game, and that was when he came out with this, and it was obviously uber popular. Just spawned all these other off series by all these other different creators that were essentially doing the same thing in different parts of the game, and completely changed the meta of RuneScape content creation. It was unbelievable to actually see in real time.
Yeah, it's very well. Obviously, there's a lot of work put into it. It's not a very efficient way of making content, but the final result is very impressive. But yeah,
Mhm.
man, the amount of work required to make a video like that is pretty mental.
No, absolutely, and that's just a testament to RuneScape players. They are absolutely unhinged. They will do a 2,000 hour grind and then do another 3,000 hours of editing to make that series complete. And my hat's off to anyone who's able to do something like that.
It's dedication there. That's for sure.
No, absolutely. And speaking of dedication, I would say that your dedication to being the most morally contempt person in the Counter-Strike community is very like it's very awe-inspiring. Uh, because any Counter-Strike content creator with more than 20,000 subs has a skins club link, has like a CS:GO role type link. But you have been turning down these offers for what, 3 years now?
5? No, 6 years.
6
I think
years.
6 years is probably more accurate.
Wow.
Uh,
And
yeah, it's a lot of money. Hope I don't regret not taking it one day.
yeah, I hope so as well, because it's funny because I sit here like as an adult, I'm about to be 30, and I try to tell myself as much as I can that like to not judge these content creators for taking these deals, because there are a lot of content creators that I watch that do have these deals and these sponsorships, and I know that like part of the content that I'm watching is only possible because they have these type of deals, because these sponsors are dishing out the kind of money to do these content trade ups or these openings or whatever I'm watching. And knowing that there are people out there, I believe it's like you and Arrow, that don't have these sponsors from these shady websites, it really, you guys deserve a lot more praise for that. It's a lot riskier. It's a lot more noble as well, that you want to make a good product and you don't want to like sell some bullshit to your fans. And I really wanted to ask like your journey through that. Has there ever been a time in your content creation career where you've been sitting there late at night and you're like, fuck, why didn't I take that deal a year ago, 6 months ago, a month ago? Has there ever been a time where you're like, you were beating yourself up because you didn't take one of these deals?
There hasn't really been. When I first started saying no to them, the amount of money was a lot less, and that made saying no a lot easier. But also, once you start saying no year after year after year, there's much more of a reputational sort of backlog you can lose if you ever do say yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets obviously the longer you've said no for, the easier it is to say no. And if I was in a serious financial situation, I'd probably think differently about it. But I'm very fortunate. I'm not in that position. Yes, rarer and rarer young people being able to own a home. I'm going to be able to own a home. I'm probably not ever going to be stressed for money. So, although it would be nice to have $20 million, I'm going to be able to do what I want anyway. And that, at the end of the day, I think that's fine. And you're insulated from it if you're a content creator. But if I did take these sponsors, a lot of my viewers would lose their homes. Quite a few of them would probably kill themselves. I mean, we just had a big drama in the community. There's a player called Jacob who's had, his whole career has been surrounded by gambling. He's got a terrible gambling problem. He's made millions and millions and millions of dollars, and he's gambled it all the way.
Hmm.
And the stuff that's come out. I mean, I know what's been happening behind the scenes with him. It's the tip of the iceberg. The guy, again, he's made more money than most people make in their lives, but it's all fucking gone. He's in debt, and his career's about to end because he's got a gambling problem. That's what it does to people. And like I open these cases to lose life-ruining amounts of money with cases. You got to try really hard. Not that they're good. I'd ban them if I got to make the rules, but to lose life-ruining amounts of money, it is quite hard. Most people give up after losing about $5,000 or $10,000, even if they've got a problem, which is bad. But not many people are going to lose their homes over it. With these gambling sites, like again, there's no limit. And I see so many people who say, "Oh, I've watched you. I got inspired and I lost $600 opening cases." I can only imagine what an actual gambling sponsor would do, and that's why. Yeah, I'm glad I've never touched it. No regrets.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that with at least cases going through Steam and Valve, right? You're gonna burn through a certain amount of money before like Steam cuts you off, and then like even after that, eventually, hopefully, if you're a smart person, but if you're gambling thousands of dollars on Steam and you're not like making content for it, or there's like a chance of return, you might be a little unhinged. But yeah, like you said, they'll eventually stop. But with these cryptocurrency websites, you can just reload up on your Coinbase and just send a transaction, and you're good to go again.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to whitewash what they are. Like, I don't think cases are an ethical business model, but the potential for harm is a lot lower. And well, they also don't sponsor me, which is a big difference as well. So, to me, there's a big difference between being paid money to get people to gamble versus paying money to make content about something while showing you're losing money and telling people not to do it. That's, if you're sponsored, you're taking a cut of their losses. It's not just like you're showing it.
Mm-hmm.
You make money based on the people watching you losing money, and that is the big issue to me, ethically, about taking gambling sponsors.
So if Valve, say, gave you like a $5,000 fill balance, you think it would be morally wrong?
I think that'd be grossly unethical if they were doing that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense,
Yeah,
though. That makes sense. Yeah. Especially because, well, just the return on investment for Counter-Strike cases are fucking terrible.
Also, I wouldn't do it for $5,000. I'd expect more. That's fucking low boy. Yeah. I cannot be bought so cheaply. I expect at least 10,000 if you're listening, Valve employees.
Gaben, get this man $10,000 of fill balance. I want to see.
And you better set it up so I get a crab at Emerald. then we'll talk. Maybe then we'll talk.
So it's just so funny because I feel like Counter-Strike has just had this problem for so long. I mean, all the way back to Phantom Lord, and his rigged
further back.
By
the way, before we go on, do you want to know how much money? Have you heard of Ryan P?
Ryan P. The name does sound familiar.
Of CoffeeZilla fame.
Yes. Yeah.
So he was managing the entire Counter-Strike scene almost.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to hear how much money I got offered per month by him?
How much?
$500,000 US for gambling sponsors.
Oh my god!
So how much money do you reckon my audience would lose for me to get paid that much?
At least 2.5 mil, I imagine, or more.
Something like that. And Ryan allegedly was not paying all of his money to all of the sponsorship money to oh no, actually no, I can't get it. Sorry, this is actually I don't think I can say this. This could be a defamation lawsuit, but I have good reason to believe the actual number would be even more than that. I'll put it that way.
Wow.
A good reason to believe I was actually being lowballed with that offer.
Is this the guy that had like the goons sent to his house, or?
No, that's Monarch who did the goons.
Okay.
Ryan. So I'll hold on. I will find you so CoffeeZilla's video didn't get into this very much, but Ryan was managing essentially which one is it? It is where is it? Coffee?
Yeah, because I did see the
This one.
documentaries that
This one.
Coffee was doing.
Yeah, it's this one. So this is the guy. So he was so Ryan, the guy in there, was managing essentially the entire Counter-Strike scene. He was the kingpin, negotiating all the gambling sponsorship deals, and
Oh, so he was like a middleman, essentially?
he was the middleman. Yeah,
Okay.
but he offered me $500,000 per month at one point. So
And you feel like that's lowballing from your
Yes,
guesses of what they were making behind the scenes.
yes, I'm very confident that would have been a low ball. Very confident.
Fucking hell, $500,000 USD a month is a lowball.
$500,000.
That's insane.
Uh,
And it's just hard, because do you think alcohol sponsorships are ethical?
yeah, I don't have a problem with alcohol sponsorships. I think that's
Yeah.
fine.
It
Um,
that's I always try to play devil's advocate because I know in the back of my mind that like you're not going to take these sponsorships from these shady websites, but obviously someone out there is, right? And
yeah,
I
someone is, that's for sure.
yeah, and like that I feel like that's a copium for a lot of people to like indulge in this type of behavior and taking these sponsorships or feeling like it's okay to do like to even like associate themselves inside like this business. Even like non-case openers, like people that just like make actual Counter-Strike content have case sponsorships. Neok, he doesn't open cases. He's not known for skins, but he has gambling sponsorships. I'm a fan of his videos. And sometimes it does just feel weird that knowing like I'm clicking on a video of him like trying to catch a cheater, and I'm gonna see like a website sponsor for a website to open cases at.
Some of these guys, like the Banjiker is a good example. He gets up on his stream, he's like, CS is shit, CS is cancer, CSGO will give you AIDS. By the way, click on my referral link for the gambling site so you get 20% of your house when you lose it because you're a problem gambler.
Yeah.
So some of them, they'll spend their entire time talking about how bad CS is, and then they'll go, oh, by the way, use my affiliate link on this gambling site.
If you had to trust one company, like as much as I don't want to trust Valve, I do trust their numbers. And meanwhile, some of these websites, they say like it's fair or probably fair, or you can see the blockchain, you can see the seed, but like, what does that even mean? Like,
Yeah.
and like we've had so many times that it's been proven that these websites are rigged, and like the people that are sponsored with them know that they're rigged or are part of like the rigging themselves.
I don't even get that upset about the rigging. Like, I just assume, I think some of them are doing dodgy rigged shit, some of them aren't. At the end of the day, they don't need to be rigged to ruin people's lives. Like, it's not even a big thing for me. It's just the fundamental nature of what it is kind of, well, it's not, it's just, is where I draw the line, I guess.
Yeah. No, you have morals. You have, at the end of the day, you want to know that like when you put your head down that you're not fucking over the people that are supporting you. And that's understandable.
I have my moral code. I have my moral code. I mean, I'm reluctant to go after any other individual creator. I know I called out Lebanjica, but like a lot of them do it, and it's hard for some people to say no. Some of them come from much more difficult circumstances than me. But I mean, yeah, I've made my position where I draw the line on CS gambling quite clear. So, I mean, yeah, my stance is pretty obvious at this point.
Yeah, and I want to make it perfectly clear. I know I brought up Neok. I was by no means talking shit about Neok. I think Neok is a fine fellow who makes good content. I was just using him as an example from my anecdotal point of view as a fan when I watch his videos.
No, he's one of hundreds of people who take these sponsorships. So he's not the problem. He's only doing what most other creators in his position do. So,
do you think Valve could do more to shut down these sites? and chooses not to.
I need to make a proper video going through it. It's just been put on the back burner because I've been slow with sponsored videos and I've got to keep the sponsor happy.
Mm-hmm.
The short answer is they don't have a lot of particularly good options. So the issue is with its current form, the skins, these casinos aren't really skins casinos. They're crypto casinos that use skins as a marketing tool.
Mm.
The skins functionalities themselves, like they're all peer to peer. So there is no means by which Valve can just shut down their bots. They can engage in an endless proxy war. They can engage in an endless battle against the gambling site traders. But these traders will just make alts, throw away alts. They use burner accounts these days, and it's impossible to shut down. The challenge Valve has is that busy sites aren't dependent on skins anymore. Shutting down so they could disable trading and destroy the entire ecosystem. But if they do that, they're in the position JX is, where they've removed like the most attractive features of their service. And for what benefit? It won't even shut down the gambling sites anymore because they're no longer skins gambling sites. They're crypto gambling sites. Like skins is only a small part of what they're doing, and they can still sponsor CS content creators just fine. There's no reason for them to stop. So Valve are in a bit of a bind. And like the reason, if you watch CoffeeZilla's video on it, he doesn't have a lot of he doesn't have many solutions to offer, and that's because there aren't that many good solutions. And if Valve, remember that something like $2 billion of skins are owned by CS players, and so from Valve's perspective, if they shut down trading, those skins become worthless. So, like, what are you meant to do? You're meant to essentially take away $2 billion of capital from your player base and destroy your entire business model and probably game in the process, only to not shut down the gambling sites. It's a big problem, but it doesn't have that many solutions. And the reason, again, if you watch the CoffeeZilla video, he doesn't really have a solution, and that's because there isn't really a good one.
Yeah,
That's the situation at the moment.
Yeah, from what you just described, I'm stumped. I got nothing.
I got nothing either. Like, I don't know how you solve it. I mean, no, you can absolutely shut down the skins part, but it's immense collateral damage for very little benefit. Everyone loses except the gambling sites who keep on going just fine.
I mean, they would ruin people's portfolios that, make people's retirements look like anthills. If they did that.
Yeah. I mean, that's not the biggest problem in.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if you invest in skins, you're doing it at your own risk.
Obviously, yes.
So I'm not. I mean, I would lose $500,000, but I would suck that. That's the risk I'm accepting when I go into this space.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're the games dev, it's your business. This is how you make your money. There's no incentive to ever do this because it's not going to achieve the result you're after, but it is going to destroy your business and hurt a lot of your fans really badly in the process. So, yeah, that's why nothing happens, because there's not much they can do about it.
Do you think it was a mistake for them to do those massive trade ban waves they did for the gambling accounts? I can't remember how long ago it was, but I remember that there was a massive wave ban.
So there's a lot of superstition and mystery surrounding these bans. I am of the understanding, though, most of those bans were not really directly done by Valve. They were automated, and Valve were not the people that really initiated them. Without saying too much, because I don't necessarily want to talk about it, or I don't want to reveal.
Okay.
What I don't want to talk about too much, just because it's
some
a
mystery.
Sensitive
area.
It's a bit of a mystery, but yeah, what I can say is Valve aren't actually behind a lot of these bans. Valve aren't the ones who are causing them to happen. I mean, it's
Interesting.
Valve systems, but it's not Valve staff going in there and doing stuff.
Maybe a future TDM Heyzeus commentary video on this in the future.
I think this one's going to be buried forever. I don't think this one's
Really?
coming out. This is how sensitive.
That's
It is.
scary. That's scary hearing you say that.
Yeah, I don't want to get involved in this. That's
Okay.
But yeah, I will say I don't think Valve is really the driving force behind these bans for the most part.
Okay. All right. Well, we can move on. I have a follow up
What
question.
I can reveal.
I have a follow up question for that. So, Valve is stuck between a rock and a hard place. And
Yes.
damned if they do, damned if they don't. But
yeah,
it's clear that it's not directly hurting their skin business having these websites, so they're just going to leave these sites up. One thing that I did want to ask, though, if they fixed the fucking bot problem and the cheating problem in Counter-Strike 2 right now, would that be a boost for the skins market, or would it hurt the skins market?
So the reality is both of those things would absolutely be a boost for the skins market. I don't think the problems are for lack of trying. I think they're just difficult to fix, and Valve doesn't run as an ordinary company. So the thing about the bots is the bots are not new. So what happened is in the lead up to CS2 coming out, Valve changed the system so you can't get drops on idle servers anymore. Now this broke the bot networks at first. The bots actually quit for a while. You can see like a 10% overnight drop in the player base when the bots went away. That's roughly how much the player base are bots. However, once the botters figured out how to work around this, they had to start using official servers. So suddenly the bots are in everybody's faces. So everything that's happened up until now, like throughout the history of the game, well, ever since it went free to play, has happened with exactly the same number of bots. It's just the bots are actively ruining people's experience in like deathmatch servers now, as opposed to the old days where you never saw them. The fact is, so currently the entire economy is being squeezed because Valve intentionally put down the drop rates and made cases, which is the fundamental commodity that the market's built on, quite rare. And even with the bots, there is just a chronic shortage, and it's led to the entire market becoming inflated. Getting rid of the bots would make that worse. I would argue it getting worse is a win for CS players. It's less money going to botters and more going to players. And Valve, where they can, do seem to be banning bots. However, the botters certainly aren't breaking the market either. It would be good if they were gone. It's a very hard problem to fix, I suspect. But I mean, the fact remains, players would be better off if the bots got banned. With the cheaters, I mean, that's just been a problem throughout the game's entire history. I'm quite sure there's people that have quit because cheating has been a problem. There's a lot of people who don't quit, whinge a lot, and probably should quit if they're that unhappy. But I mean, less cheaters is never going to hurt CS as a game. But one way or another, they've been very unsuccessful at addressing the cheating problem, particularly at high elos. And I think it's overstated how many players are affected by that. You just look at the distribution in Premier and you can see 90% of players are not regularly encountering cheaters. But at the top end, the top 10%, it's a big problem and it ruins a lot of people's experience. And one way or another, Valve have not been able to fix it. So if they could, that'd be great, but I'm not holding my breath.
No, yeah, and it's funny because I try to look at like the cultural zeitgeist of a community through the content being made about it, right? And even now, like we're still in like the remnants of it. Like Counter-Strike 2 content is either like demo wall hacks doing like crazy challenges with pro players or face at level 5 players, or really high level players looking at VODs to see if the enemy team they were up against was cheating, or climbing to rank 30,000 with cheaters and stream snipers trying to get at you all the time. And it's just really unfortunate because I still try to play the game, even though I'm super low elo. I really don't have to worry about cheaters that often, but it still sucks because none of my friends will play, because unfortunately, one out of every game, one out of every 2 games, there probably is someone cheating, whether on your team or on the other team. And I don't know, man. Like when the promises of Knack Live and just the shortcoming after shortcoming after shortcoming of Valve, it's really frustrating to want to root for this game, but I still like have a love for it and a nostalgia for it. And it's a fun game. I feel like it would be the best tactical shooter on the market if they could just fix the cheating problem. Like I don't want to go. But people say go play Valorant. I don't want to play Valorant. Valorant is dog shit.
Valorant has no demo system, so how do you know if they're cheating against you as well? It's harder to tell, right?
Well, they say, well, it's because of the DRM fucking software, the Chinese, I don't know, the whatever software that looks at your computer, and like that's how you know you're not cheating. And it's like, but it's a shit game. I don't want to have to learn fucking League of Legends characters in a shooting game. I like my, you know.
The thing is, at the end of the day, though, CS has kept on growing. There's a cheating problem. The game has grown in spite of that. And like I say to people when they have, like, if you genuinely feel this game is not worth your time as a cheating, don't play it. But I mean, it is a problem, and I don't know what's happened inside of Valve that's led to it not being sorted. I imagine anti-cheat development's difficult. CS is a game where cheating has a big impact, but the problems continue. Again, without insight into the Valve offices, I don't know what's happened. I imagine they've messed up somewhere along the line, but I think the problem seems to have gotten less bad too. But something's gone wrong with the transition to CS2. It's not clear what it is, but it's obviously made a lot of people unhappy.
I think they're just getting beat. I think they're getting beat to the punch at every turn by these people that sell these mods, these hacks, these bypasses. I mean, God, just in the past 5 years, like programming has gotten so clever. There are so many different things you can do on your hardware and with software. It's really baffling. I mean, especially and now AI is in the mix. All these language models are just floating about to help you program better or help you make a help you make a new mod. It's really insane.
Yeah, one of the issues is I think they've gone for this AI anti-cheat, and it's just proven perpetually more difficult than they were expecting. I think there's been a lot of problems with false positives, or like a number of false positive waves during the early days of CS2.
Mm-hmm.
I think if they can nail that model, I mean, how do you program around an AI anti-cheat that actually works? I don't know if you can, but getting that model to work, I think, has been, I think, a lot more difficult than they've been hoping for, and it's been, I think, a major factor in why, particularly in CS2, the situation has been so dire.
Yeah, I think when they made that announcement video, what they were trying to sell you was that this AI was going to be able to make a fingerprint of like your play style, and like even switching IPs, the AI model would still know it's you based off your play style. I think that's what they were trying to sell, and like even like it sounded cool, but like that's really far fetched, and it's clearly even more far fetched because we're 2 years into this, and it feels like there's nothing even in place right now. Like,
well, they're going to be very secretive about what is in place. I mean, it does seem the AI anti-cheat is functional to some extent, but I mean, I don't know what the spin botting problem is at the moment. To be fair, I've never encountered a spin botter in CS2, but I'm in the wrong elos to encounter them, so that's probably why.
mm-hmm.
I don't know, as a spin botter problem, that'd be the obvious thing for an AI anti-cheat to combat. Far as I'm aware, it hasn't managed to sort out the spin botters yet, so that is a bit concerning. I will admit.
I don't even I don't even believe it's like spin botting is a problem. Like the way that like Renyan describes it is heavy walls with like heavy aim assist is the new rage, because that's what they can get away with. But it's super obvious, especially at higher elos.
Oh, I can imagine it's very obvious. For any good player, they're going to know. Just anybody with experience in the game will instantly spot it.
Mm-hmm. And like
Yeah.
it's so because like I'm sitting here and I'm playing these 6,000 elo games. This is silver. I'm silver surfing in Premiere, and there's a guy on the other team that has a private account, no face it. I'm looking at his CS tracker stats, and he's in like the top 1% of the group for her stats. And I'm like dropping 30 and 2, like 30 and 2, 28 and 1, and I'm like, this guy's obviously hacking and just going on a spree right now, and he's about to run us down. And sure as shit, he runs us down in silver. And this guy's not silver, he's hacking. I feel like it should be obvious. At least give us Overwatch back so I can have some copium and feel like I'm doing something. You know?
Yeah, but I mean, the cheaters broke Overwatch. Like, well, the cheaters claim they broke Overwatch. I mean, it's really hard to know because obviously, if you're a cheater, by the very nature, you're obviously not an entirely reliable source anymore. So, I mean, if Overwatch was a great effective system, though, I imagine they would give it back. The fact they haven't makes me think it probably wasn't working properly by the time they got rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't. I don't know what the solution to the cheating problem is. People say, oh, they need an intrusive anti-cheat, but that's never going to happen because of Valve, and I'm not sure an intrusive anti-cheat would necessarily even be the silver bullet people are hoping for. It's I don't think anyone has the solution yet. If the AI works one day, maybe at that point, but I think it's going to be a hard one to fix. I think there's always going to be a cheating problem, unfortunately.
Well, I hope maybe one day we can sit under sunny skies and there are no cheaters flourishing on Counter-Strike networks. Maybe one day, you know.
Play repo instead. No cheaters there.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Yeah. I'm just gonna go play League of Legends. That's the true fix here.
Do they have cheats in League of Legends? They've got some sort of League of cheats, don't they? But not the same. Not to the same extent.
It's very. I think cheating in League of Legends is almost like a unicorn. It's very mythical.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, very mythical.
Very mythical. I see.
There have been a few instances. There's a very popular Tyler 1 clip of a Scion user using a script for his ultimate. I don't know if you know Scion's ultimate, but he turns into this like train of unstoppable momentum, and it's hard to control him. But with the script, you can take these very sharp turns with his ult that you normally wouldn't be able to do, and it's actually really
Okay.
cool to see. And Tyler 1 was freaking out from the guy using it. But that's about the only time like I ever saw anyone using any type of cheats. I've never personally experienced it. I just said League of Legends because it's a shit game with a shit community that I'm happy to be a part of.
Riot's the best company in the world. There's nothing fucked up going on at Riot.
Oh no, absolutely. And you know the fact that they want to piecemeal us on skins and take away all of our benefits that we used to get for playing the game.
They do unironically make good TV series though, from what I've heard.
Yeah, all my friends love that normie shit. I watched like the first few episodes. It's not my cup of tea.
I've never seen it, but I've heard it's good. So
Yeah, if you're into that type of stuff, what media does TDM Heyzeus consume outside of?
I'm a bit of a geek. I watch a lot of science and finance related stuff. That's sort of my cup of tea.
Okay,
That's a lot of what I watch.
all right.
I'm a big Souls person. I play a lot of Stellaris these days, but I'm a big Souls person. Guy. That's sort of my sort of thing. I'm very preoccupied with editing these days, which is sort of sapped away a lot of my free time. I've got a collection of unopened Warhammer fantasy boxes in the cupboard, building up for the day I'll one day
Yeah.
stop working as much, but that's years off at this point. So I've got a box collection, which I'm very attached to, but I'm some way away from opening any of the boxes. That's how I'd probably describe it.
Yeah, being an editor is tough, isn't it?
It's just time consuming. It's time consuming. There's just a lot of work in getting stuff right. So
I love it, but it really is just you sit down and you look at the project, and like let's say you have a rough cut done. Like the time limit of the video is probably not going to change. If it does change, it may change by a few minutes or two up or down, depending on what you want to do. And you're like, okay, I could do this in 4 hours. And then like 10 hours goes by, and you're like,
they're never done on time. They're always late.
And you're 2/3 of the way there.
They take longer and they end up being shorter than you plan.
Yes.
That's always my experience. You end up takes 4 hours longer to edit 2 minutes less content.
Dude, for me, when I first started, it was just the indecisiveness that really was killing me, and being unsure of myself starting off as an editor. Uh,
Okay, for me, it's the other way around. I've become slower and more indecisive the longer I've edited. I'm much more sensitive to stuff like pacing now, and
mhm.
I'm much more inclined to this. So everything I record gets recorded 3 times before I'm happy with it. I like I think I uploaded a 6-minute video like 2 days ago that was re-recorded like 3 times over the course of the day. I wrote it once, recorded it, started editing it, re-recorded the entire thing, got halfway through, re-recorded again. So
Yeah.
I've become very picky about what I actually end up putting to video.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's beneficial for your work. And in terms of like what I do, I do podcasting, and then I do like this sort of talk show, raid hybrid show called Top Tuesday with my buddy Prison Joe. He's the host, on the editor, and it's basically like In Between Two Ferns meets the Theater of Blood on RuneScape, and you don't really get any do overs with that. It's all one take. And same thing with the podcast. It's all one take. So I don't get, if I'm looking at something in front of me, like that's kind of what I have. I can't ask him to be like, yo, film this part again. We can't really do that.
You know what, I might be better off without the flexibility because infinite takes means I end up recording stuff an infinite number of times, and it takes quite a while for me to be happy of things.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a benefit and a curse of sort of scripted, content you're not recording live.
Yeah, it's the you said a curse. It's like the curse of like perfectionism, right? At least to your standards. Um,
Yeah, look, I'm never happy of anything I upload, so
oh
that
no, same.
tells you a lot about my standards.
It's funny. I tell like my buddy every time we do Top Tuesday. Uh, I'm like, it's our best episode. Like when I do the rough cut, it's our best episode. And then I go through and I do all the pans and zooms, edits, and I'm like, okay, it's an okay episode. Go through and add all the transition and music, and I'm like, fuck, this is a shit episode. And then it comes to like the final review time. We watched it all the way through, and he's like, that's the best episode ever, and I fucking hate it. And like now it's time to upload, and like
That's the curse of being the editor.
yeah, yeah. It absolutely is. I just like I watch it so many times that I guess by the time it's finally ready for like being rolled out on YouTube, I'm just like so numb to it. I don't know what's good anymore. Like the jokes don't hit the first. Like when I'm sitting there and I smoke a little bit. I have caffeine flowing through my system. I've quit nicotine recently, but I would have my vape and I'd get all nicked out. And I got music in the background. I'm making these funny little edits. I'm laughing my ass off. The first time is always the best, right? By the fourth time you've heard it, it doesn't have the same impact. So maybe that might be part of the problem as well.
It's true. If you ever record something and you actually enjoy listening to it multiple times, chances are you've probably done a good job. You can always use that as, just adjust your standards accordingly. And if you're actually enjoying listening to it multiple times, chances are it's probably turned out quite well.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I use to try to gauge our bits and like our continuous bits. There have been like a bunch of different things that we've like concocted behind the scenes that we've tried out once or twice and it didn't really land close to home. And so we kind of scrap it. But like one thing that's definitely a hit is like we have a big dog bit that he does every episode now, and it's part of our merch line, and it's a fan favorite. And we have a new one that we just unveiled in the last episode called the Slur Shark, and I'm not going to give context. That's all you get.
That's I haven't heard of that species, but it sounds like a great shark. I'm sure.
He's a little vindictive bastard. That's all I'll say right there. He
Okay.
might be getting a T-shirt soon.
Okay. The sharks are just curious. When they disembowel you, they're just curious. Except for bull sharks, they want you dead. But so it's just a test bite. So I'm sure it's not malicious or anything, right?
No, it's not. No, it's not malicious at all. I promise. No, it's not.
See, exactly.
It's not malicious at all. He's a very friendly shark. He loves everybody.
The person he's bit's dead, right? But he's still a friendly shark, right?
No, still a friendly shark. Yeah, we don't talk about that. He he had his like beginnings in Jaws and Jaws 2, but then him
Okay.
and Steven Spielberg had an outing. He got too high at a party.
Oh, is that why Jaws 3 was so bad? Let's get a different shark in, and the new shark
Yeah,
just wasn't up to it?
yeah. I didn't want to say that, but yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, and now he's with
I
us.
feel a bit bad for the replacement shark.
Yeah, I mean, well, hey, he killed it.
He did. He exploded after a bit of wood went through it or something. I think something really bad like that.
Hey man, he nailed it. Some would say, you know.
Yeah, impaled it.
Yeah. Oh
If I mentioned
man.
there wouldn't be another Jaws movie.
Yeah, yeah, dude. To be honest, Jaws movies aren't even that scary anymore. Like the thought of like going to like a theater, sitting down and watching a movie about a shark and being terrified, like it doesn't even.
I'm too Australian. I like sharks. Sharks are awesome. Like
Yeah.
I love going to the reef and like paddling with the sharks. I'm like, oh look at it, it's so cool.
But what if they were in a tornado?
Oh, that would make for a great fucking movie.
Dude, has
Have you ever
anyone
chopped
done this?
Have you ever chopped a shark in half with a chainsaw? I don't think you have.
No, I haven't.
No, and I'm pretty sure, don't they pour petrol on a pool and then throw a cigarette in it and it explodes?
I think so. Yeah, they did something
The
like
car,
that. Yeah.
I watched this. I drunk watched this with people, and I remember when there was a fuel leak in the car. One of our friends yelled out, "If this car explodes, I'm going to be fucking furious." The car explodes. It's a great movie. I actually like it. It's genuinely good. Well,
No.
not good, but
No, yeah, it's one of those types of movies for sure. Yeah, it's just funny. Like I like to try to like frame. So, do you know who Vsauce is? Michael, like, hey, Michael here.
yeah, Vsauce.
Yeah,
Yeah, Michael Vsauce.
I was listening to an old podcast he was on called Schmucks. I think it was maybe 7 years ago. I've been on this really weird kick where I just go back in time and like I go through like all these old podcasts that I listened to when I was younger, and I try to like get in my frame of mind of like what I thought was so interesting about it. And he was posed with this question of what was it like to daydream as a medieval peasant? And
A good question, actually.
yeah, it really struck a chord with me because even 30 years ago, what it was like to daydream 30 years ago, what it is now, is completely different. The way that like culture and ideas and knowledge is moving so fast is it's almost sickening in a way.
The amount of knowledge you can access on the internet so easily is incredible, right?
Mm-hmm. It's
Because yeah, like because again, 50 years ago, this stuff either wasn't known or wasn't easily accessible. Um, because like so like for example, like I can go and look up the entire like family tree of proto mammals during the time before the dinosaurs and see every single family neatly aligned for me on Wikipedia. And they're some very goofy goobers. They're very funny looking creatures. And like that's it's just some random paleo stuff. But when you think about it, this stuff wasn't known about. These animals lived 260 million years ago. And we only found out about them 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's a 260 million year stretch since they were around that I've landed just on the right side of to be able to access this information.
Just try going back 100 years and explaining the number 260 million to somebody, just a random person.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even understand what you're saying, like the concept of it. The fact that like we even as a society we can conceptualize millions and billions, and even in conversation, is almost awe-inspiring. And we talk about life forming on other planets, and we talk about theoretical and prime numbers. The pi is infinite. The decimal places after the 3 are infinite. What's infinity? And then they're like, well, some infinities are bigger than others. And it's like, what do you mean some infinities are bigger than others? I thought it was just infinity.
Oh, that infinity. I remember that. That's I hated maths, but I do remember that.
Yeah, because it's like you have one infinity of 1 to infinity, and then you have, well, what about the fractions? So you have 1.1 to 1.2, 1.3, so on to infinity. So yeah, that infinity would be bigger than the previous infinity. And fuck, I have to do taxes. God damn it, I have to do taxes.
Yeah, the taxes aren't fun. I'm
No.
doing my taxes at the moment. It's miserable. And Australia's got much easier taxes to do than the States. The States is diabolical, from what I've heard.
Yeah, they're not cool people. And
Do you have an online portal to submit your taxes?
somewhat like we've recently have made some leaps and bounds where they've made it somewhat easier. They've
I was a
recently
bit
added that.
I was shocked when I found out America didn't have it for a long time. I've
Yeah.
only ever done my taxes online.
Yeah, back in the Disney, you'd have to go to a place. You'd have to go to a fucking building and hire someone to
Oh
do
my
your
God.
taxes.
Yeah, that's pretty awful.
Or you
Oh.
had someone in your family that did them, or like say you were an accountant and like you were savvy on tax laws, you would probably do your own taxes. But no, it was very commonplace for a very long time that you would get in your fucking car, drive 15 minutes to a fucking mall building, and have some schmuck do your taxes. And by the way, who may or may not be fucking you, because you yourself as a citizen don't know your own tax law, because it's so complicated.
There's only 50,000 pages in it. I don't know what you're complaining about. That's
Yeah.
right, isn't it? 50,000 pages?
We're just lazy. We're just fucking, we're entitled, you know. It's something like
Someone
that.
should fix that.
It's-
Someone should fix that.
They're not going
That
to.
sounds fixable.
I want to let you know right now that is by design. It is.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, the powers that be long before me have set it in stone, and apparently my vote means something, but I don't think it does. If you ask me,
Which state are you in?
I'm in good old Georgia. I'm in the heart of
Georgia.
the Bible
Oh,
Belt.
your vote does mean something, though. I was about to say, if you're in New York, your vote doesn't mean something. In Georgia, hey, your vote does count.
No,
It's not for fixing taxes one way or another.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say who I voted for, but you can probably guess who I voted
Don't.
for.
Good idea. Don't.
You can probably guess who I
Don't
voted
say.
for based on my demeanor with the government. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Regardless, hey, at least your vote counts. I'm actually in a swing district for the first time ever. In my country. But I'm going to turn in an empty ballot as a matter of protest. So
Mhm.
I've got my swing vote. And I'm throwing it away.
It's funny you say that. For the longest time, I wasn't even registered to vote because I didn't believe
You
in
have
it.
to be in Australia. You get fined. They force you to.
Really? Yeah.
But that means as a protest you can not vote. So I can not vote and make a statement by not voting.
Hmm.
That's good, I guess. But maybe I'm upsetting everybody by saying that because I'm like an enemy of all sides of politics.
Yeah, well, you're gonna.
Could be.
Do you want to? Here's the thing. Do you want to piss off one side or do you want to piss off both? Because I respect you more if you want to piss off both. You know.
Well, you can tell what I think because I don't plan on voting for anybody.
Yeah, so you want to piss off both. You don't really you don't care for the dissonance between the two parties is what you're trying to say with your vote. Or-
Yeah, more or less. I don't like any of the minor parties either.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what a principled statement. I'm with no one.
No, and yeah, and it's there's something comforting in that, I think. That
Yeah, whoever that gets voted in, it's not my fault.
no, absolutely. You're just like you don't even go with the tide, you just move against it as you watch everyone else like pick their way.
Yes, exactly.
And you just stand
Precisely.
there defiantly. You know?
Yeah,
I can get behind that.
From the high rise I live in a very wealthy suburb, defiantly standing there.
And $500,000 worth of NFTs on a shooter game.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Hey man, I'm trying to get like you, big
It's
bro. I'm trying to get like you.
It's a bit funny when you think of it like that.
It is kind of we live in the best time and also the worst time, I feel like. Because life
I think it is still the best time, to be honest.
No, absolutely, because if you're born even 200 years ago, you could have died before you were 25 to dysentery.
At least I'm not dying of my teeth. They
Yeah.
about all these people in chronic pains they can't get. Well, to be fair, in some places they still can't get dental care, but where I live, you can. So that's something to be grateful for, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and not dying of pneumonia or a cut on your
Yeah,
finger.
that's also good.
You know.
Yeah, that's also good as well. Sanitation too. I like having that.
No, absolutely.
I like the fact that Europeans figured out quantum physics, but they figured out having a bath. regularly is a good thing.
Yeah, God, you know, during, you know, like why the medieval ages happened is because like the barbarians that tore down Rome and Greece, and eventually became the UK, destroyed all the technology and plumbing in those areas, and that's why for
Yeah,
almost 1,500 years you had to throw your shit out your window onto the street.
yeah. Oh, it's also they did well. So like the engineers never wrote anything down, and when Rome collapsed, their whole system just imploded.
Mm-hmm.
All the engineers died out, so they had no engineering left for a while, which was a bit of
Yeah.
yeah, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but that was not helpful. They also convinced themselves when the plague happened that bathing was part of the problem.
It's crazy how that happens.
That was not a good move.
Crazy how that fucking happens, dude.
Yeah, well, there's no rule book. Like there's no guideline.
Well, there
It's,
were there were people writing shit down. It's just it just wasn't correct. It was
well, yeah, came to the wrong conclusion.
yeah. Are you familiar with the YouTube content creator Salmonella Academy?
Yes, yes, Salmonella. He's an excellent content. He makes some funny videos.
Yes, he does. Did you see his most recent one about Plinius the Elder, who was the first
Oh, hey, yeah,
author?
I've only watched half of it, but yeah, that's a very good video.
Yeah, it's funny to, in retrospect, like 2,000 years later, watching the ramblings of this very educated man for the time, and seeing like how he thought the world worked around him, and the amount of shit that he kind of got right was
Yeah, you got a lot of it
astonishing.
right.
Astonishing. He didn't
Yeah.
get a whole lot right, but some of the stuff that he did get right shocked me. Like the fact that like they knew like the orbits of the planets somewhat well, but they still thought the Earth was the center of the universe.
That wasn't their fault though. Like that wasn't their fault because the stars are too far away for you to see any parallax effect. So it took like we literally didn't have proof until the 1800s, which is crazy.
Yeah, no, it's
So I'll
insane.
give him a pass on that one.
Yeah, we'll give him
He
a
did
pass.
murder a lot of Christians though. There's letters where he's like boasting to the emperor, "Hey dude, I killed all these Christians." Um, funny guy, Pliny.
Yeah, didn't they put God, who was it, Galileo in jail because he thought the sun was the center? It was some.
That was more because he wrote a bunch of things saying mean shit about the Pope.
Oh, he did that too. They didn't mention that in school.
Yeah, didn't go too well. That
Mm.
wasn't well received.
God, it's crazy what
So
they don't teach you. What it's like what they do teach you, and then what they don't teach you. Like
yeah, Galileo. He also again that parallax effect thing fucked him because like he was pretty certain we had to be going around the sun, but he couldn't prove it because if we're going around the sun, you should be able to see a parallax effect on the stars. But because the stars are so far away, like you need like modern telescopes to do that, and so it was so hard to be entirely sure. So I again, I believe in free speech, but it's a little bit more complicated than people say. And yeah, the Pope didn't like Galileo saying mean things about him, so yeah, Galileo got put in the naughty corner.
well, when you're the Pope and there's some guys saying some anti-Pope shit, and you don't put that guy in a tower for the rest of his days, can you say that you're the Pope?
Yeah, well, the popes were much more manly back then. They didn't take stuff flying down. They weren't about being holier than thou.
No, they were war chiefs. They were brutal. They were hungry. They were ready. They were young.
Yeah, they had prostitutes and wives as well.
Dangerous, dangerous men, just congregating, plotting,
Very important job back in the day. Organized crusades. It was a different institution. Then, unfortunately, someone started reproducing the Bible, and they realized the popes may not have been honest about certain parts of its contents.
Yeah,
And then it all came crashing down. That fucking
Yeah.
Martin Luther guy. Just,
Martin Luther's like, fuck the church, fuck the Pope. He's like, you guys are lying, you guys are bastards, and like, here's why.
he was like a moderate. He was like, he was like only a little bit against the Catholic Church, but then he started all these other groups that were even more against the Catholic Church and stuff like that. And there was just violence everywhere. These people murdering each other. It's nuts. I'm glad we don't live then.
No, I know, right? Yeah, I mean, I would be fucked. I grew up Southern Baptist for 16 odd years, and eventually left the faith. But I was always interested in religion and multiple different sections of Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, a couple African religions I liked learning about, and like all their trickster gods. It's funny how like different continents have like different deities, uh, with different like moral standings. Like some cultures are very fond on like having like these deities that are all righteous and all good, and then like other cultures have like these gods that are like very human and very flawed, which I always thought was interesting. And I've completely lost the point of what
Yeah.
I was going to say. Um,
What is interesting though is a lot of people sort of analyze history assuming nobody actually believes religion, and they look for, because a lot of these people, they're not religious, and they sort of assume, well, that's nonsense, no one could believe that. And so like they'll look at something like the Crusades and assume there must have been like a material reason, but obviously no. A lot of people actually do genuinely believe in God.
mhm.
It's very important to them, and so you get whole societies that are structured based on religion, even though it makes no sense to us, because these people genuinely believe this stuff. Like traditional Indian society, for example, like the Brahmic Hindu Indian structure, it sounds insane if you think about it
Yeah.
as a modern Western person with your mobile phone thinking about your money and your taxes. But these weren't people like us. They believed completely different things. Uh,
No, and they
I
lived
think,
in
yeah,
completely different times and cultures.
yeah,
For thousands of years. I mean, some of these religions span for thousands of years and have evolutions
yeah,
and branches, and subcultures. It's really fascinating. And dude, and like I said, it comes back to that question that Michael asked: is like, when you were a medieval peasant, what did they dream about? And I try to put myself in the shoes of some dude in the 1200s that's being sent somewhere in the Middle East, to go fight to go claim the Holy Land, and I could see myself being pepped up to believe, like I have the armor on. I see everyone around me that I've been training with, and like these are my brothers of God, and we're gonna go back and claim the Holy Land from the infidels. Like, yeah, that shit happened. Like there may have been like some masterminds who were plotting other reasons behind the scenes, and may have been like nefarious characters, but I mean, these religions and these stories and these traditions exist for a reason. They were practiced. They were believed. And
yeah.
a
I
lot of the,
believed.
unfortunately, a lot of the time, if you tried to apostatize from any of these beliefs, they would kill you. But we're not going to talk about that. But hey, uh,
Yeah. Well, it's also, keep in mind, all the like until like modern times, any history will simply accept miracles as a thing that happened.
yes,
Like if you go back to the writings around in the Roman Empire, so like the people who didn't disagree with Christianity, they didn't say Jesus didn't do miracles. They said Jesus did sorcery. They didn't deny the miracles. Like the argument was just about, were they real miracles or is this dark magic?
yeah,
Um, and there's no sources that don't, like every single source from back then says miracles are possible. They all believed it was possible, regardless of what they actually believed in. And that's just how different. Obviously, people these days, many of them would be more skeptical. But back then, even the skeptics believed in miracles. It's just how different people's mindset was back then.
no, yeah, and there's actually a somewhat strong theory that so before Christianity was introduced to the West, to the Greeks, um, everyone talks about the Greek and the Roman gods, and some scholars actually believe that like it was there more for cultural than for spiritual reasons. Uh, like a lot of the higher society classes viewed like the quote unquote religion, the Roman religion, the Greek religion, all that was as just stories, and like the lower caste system citizens may have like believed in it as truth and like worshipped them. But there is a strong argument that there wasn't a whole lot of like actual worshiping going on in belief. But when the story of Jesus started getting introduced to the West and introduced to the Greeks, they really took with it. They really liked the story, and like they started writing their own. And that's actually where we get the Apocrypha, from the Catholic religion, stem from stories written by Greek authors about Jesus. Uh,
Yeah,
and
the Apocrypha is really interesting. Yeah, I don't know heaps, but yeah, the development of it, like it's almost like an organism growing society is very interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, because my understanding is, yeah, the Romans weren't quite as serious about their religion, and that's partly why these religions got bonked quite badly by, you know, Christianity when it moved in, because it was like a super virus in the system, basically.
Yeah.
A much more effective belief system, and also, so like their whole culture, like it was very, very tribal and hierarchic, and Christianity kind of took an axe to that and said, "No, no, you're all equal. God sees all of you as equals,"
Hmm.
which was like revolutionary in society, and it completely changed the way medieval society got structured.
Yeah, well, thankfully the Greeks and the Romans did try to dabble in democracy a little bit and giving like the common man a voice. So there
Yeah,
was like a remnant of that echo that sparked that idea as well, that I definitely think helped like introduce it, at least. It was definitely a help
yeah,
for that to exist in the society
yeah. There's
beforehand.
different. There's also different views of how Christianity developed. A lot of so there's a view that there were sort of two strands initially. One of them wanted just to sort of be like a spin off of Judaism, and one of them like one of them really wanted to bring Jesus into a lot of sort of Greek cultural norms,
Hmm.
and that was there's different interpretations of it though. People don't like scholars don't really agree on which one's more accurate. But on one of the points of view is that particularly Paul really brought a lot of modern Greek ideas, and he took the bits he liked of Jesus' teachings and really meshed them together. Um, to be fair, this is actually the common position. This is the position Islam takes, and a lot of the scholars who support this position happen to be Muslim, which is highly convenient. But that's one interpretation of the development of Christianity in Western society, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah,
May not be right either.
no, we can. I love speculating and talking about this shit. I mean, God, it really. Me, I'm an atheist now, but when I stepped away from Christianity and I started watching a lot of different educational videos, documentaries, um, logic testing, critical thinking videos, loophole bashing videos of like breaking this like illusion that I was stuck in with Christianity. Um, and really like seeing like, oh, like these are just one of many stories of like an ever expanding culture that like I just so happen to like have fell in because I was born here. And
See, I'm the opposite. I never believed any of it, but it took me ages to realize that other people do believe it,
no,
and
yeah, they do.
that changed the way I perceive the world.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. No, because I grew up assuming, like, so when I first learned about the Crusades, I thought, okay, well, they must have had, they went off and killed some people. There's no way they would have done that because of God. They must have wanted to benefit materially. But looking back at it, no, obviously they believed God told them to do that. Why would you go march all the way to the Middle East and probably die to get a strip of desert
Yeah.
for the most part,
Well,
unless you believed in it.
dude,
They
the
must have believed in it.
Afterlife DLC, bro,
Yeah, yeah.
was meta changing for the human race. They're like, you're
The
telling me,
medieval times were horrible, right? So
yeah,
what
yeah.
else was there?
Well, it's funny because like a lot of like the ideas of the afterlife come from like Revelation, and just like how quick like Christians were being persecuted after like Jesus's death, for them to like write that is it's so bone chilling that they like these very few followers of like this cult basically are being hunted and persecuted and tortured and crucified, that like one of their writers that's stuck in a fucking jail right now in the Canary Islands is like writing down this this revelation, this apocalyptic text of Jesus is going to return and rescue all of the believers and whatnot, and that like there will be divine retribution and punishment for the Satan and the non-believers, and there will be 1,000 years of the kingdom of heaven on earth and whatnot. And then
The,
it,
the amount of good fiction that inspired
oh,
is crazy.
absolutely, bro, all these metal
It's super
bands.
metal.
Yes,
I
dude.
I love the modern culture that's grown out of Christianity. I love that aspect of Christianity. I don't believe any of it, but the cultural and artistic developments are awesome. They're super based.
Dude, all these metal bands, like, it's so funny. They're so anti like religion, but they wouldn't have their culture, their subculture, if it wasn't for that religion being so popular and having the devil, having an enemy. You know, you wouldn't be able to
Yeah.
have metal if you didn't have Jesus.
Yeah, or like the amount of stuff like Bloodborne and Dark Souls just like wholesale plagiarizes from the Bible
Yep.
is unreal.
Yep.
Like Dark Souls is literally an inversion of Jesus. So Dark Souls is where God has sacrificed man to try and save himself. They've just taken the concept and flipped it to create a world.
Mm-hmm. No, it's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, I love that. I love that stuff.
It's a good story. It scared the hell out of me as
It's
a kid, and I thought I was gonna burn in hell. But uh, it's definitely inspired a lot of people to make some cool shit.
Yeah, I love that aspect of it, and the artistic traditions, they're great. Don't like the stories, but the everything else, I do deal with, and the older I've gotten, the more I've realized I appreciate that aspect of Christianity. Also, you can actually make art based on that religion and its traditions without upsetting people, which is a really positive thing.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, Islam is just going through every for whatever reason, every Abrahamic monotheistic religion goes through a time period where they're just very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very forward. Very forward.
Islam has an even more like metal end times. But once he gets past that phase, he can make like an end time story based on Islam. It's really awesome. Like it has like the Antichrist coming back and like the whole world's starving and he starts giving steaks to people. Eventually the last few faithful people are trapped in a mosque, surrounded by all these people who've been taken over by the Antichrist. And I think at that point Jesus comes back and kills the Antichrist. It's really cool.
Hmm.
Again, once you can actually write a story based on it, it's fucking awesome.
No, yeah, definitely. Do you know that there are Islamic metal bands that exist that like
Are there? I don't know about this.
yeah, I recently learned that there's actually I can't I'm sorry, I can't remember the name for the life of me, but there is a very popular Islamic metal band that they have to like produce in secrecy because if they were to be caught, they would be killed.
Yeah, they've got emo murders in like Iraq and stuff like that, which is can understand why they're terrified.
No, it's absolutely terrifying, but like uh, obviously these cultures are going to have like this underground scene of rebellion that will thrive. Especially the harder you put the heel down or the boot down on someone's neck, the more likely they're inclined to rebel in secrecy, right?
Yeah, and also obviously Western culture is now so pervasive through the internet, and
Mhm.
Western culture is sticky. People get a bit of it, and they don't want to let go of it. Like, that's my experience.
No, it's very true because it's so refreshing to the rest of the world, especially to places that don't have a lot of internet and a lot of like widespread means of media to consume. And then once they
Yeah,
realize like what's going on over here, I'm I'm not saying like this is for good or for bad, but they want a piece of it. They want Brad Pitt movies. They want to watch the NBA.
yeah.
They want to see Tiger Woods. I don't know why, but they do.
Yeah, also, and being Western, you don't need permission from an in-group to be West. It's more like a style of living. It's not you don't need a group of people to accept you, well as you
Hmm.
do in other societies. So it's inherently, even if not every Western person is necessarily nice or tolerant, the nature of the culture itself is like you don't need someone's permission to adopt it, and that's another strength it has.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. It's a very a welcoming experience, I would say.
Yeah,
Especially
um,
online, in terms of like gaming communities, content creation communities, Discord communities. It's just it's so funny now, man. It's especially like when I look at it in terms of like our podcast. Like we have a hoodie and a T-shirt called "Based Worldwide." Because if you go look at our analytics, like we have at least one viewer on almost every continent between YouTube and Spotify, and that's just so baffling to me. that there's one guy in China that's listened to the podcast, even just 5 minutes of it, of one episode. I don't give a shit. You're telling me someone in China listened to my little shitty podcast that I produce? That's
Yeah,
insane.
it's the thing. Yeah, no, that's the great thing about the internet, just the information dissemination. Um, then of course, I open Twitter in the morning. I'm like, maybe the internet was a mistake, but that
No,
aspect of
no.
the
That's
internet's
just
great.
that is a very small-minded man weaponizing ad analytics and fraud is what that is. That is what
Is
Twitter is at this point. It's just a rage bait
has he gone
echo chamber.
mad? I don't know. What the fuck's happened?
All I know is he's fucking with our social security money. I don't fucking know, man. I didn't vote for Trump, and I definitely didn't vote for Elon Musk, so I don't know what the fuck's going on. All I know is that my president told me if I burn down a Tesla, I'm going to be charged with domestic terrorism.
Jesus Christ.
What? I'm going to be charged as a terrorist if I burn down a Tesla?
I mean, I would not endorse burning down terrorists. Burning down Teslas, but that's a bit fucking extreme.
Dude, he's on the White House lawn giving a goddamn sales pitch for Tesla stock.
I know.
It's
Yeah.
maddening. It's maddening.
Can I have a do you know how they're? I'm gonna go on a rant. This. I'll tell you why I'm not voting for anybody. So you know how they've got Doge, and Doge just come in and just laid people off like willy nilly. They just stepped in there and started firing people.
Yep.
The reason, so like I don't like the current government in Australia, and I would vote for the opposition party, but their only policy that's different to the current government is they want to fire a bunch of public servants. But I was in the public service before I'd started doing this, and the place is understaffed, and like the system's like breaking down and dysfunctional because there wasn't enough staff.
Yeah.
And they're only doing this, like the idea is budget repair, but like public servant salaries are 25 billion for the entire public service. The budget deficit's 40 billion. So you're not going to balance the budget by cutting a quarter of the public service. It's just stupid. And like, I mean, I've worked in there. Like the place was understaffed. This is before the current government. Like firing people is a bad idea. It makes the place less efficient, not more. And they're only doing this to like literally copy the aesthetics of the current American government. So I'm fucking furious with the opposition. That's why I'm not voting for them.
No, it's this idea that you can look at a country that has services for its goddamn citizens and taxpayers, and you can be like, well, let's just treat it like a 2-bit company that we just bought, and we're gonna gut it to sell later. That's essentially what they're doing.
It's a fucking company. It's what but it's such a tiny part of the budget too. You're not going to balance the budget by cutting half the public. You're going to end up hiring contractors who cost more because you won't have enough staff. That's what's going to happen.
And I know that, and you know that. So what does that tell us? Like, it makes us think that, like, what is the actual purpose of doing this? Like, what's the ulterior motive? Because they can tell us all they want, like, it's budget cuts, it's to save. We're saving money. And then you look at, like, what they're saving versus, like, the damage they're causing. And it's like, is this really worth the fractions of percentages of the actual budget that, like, you're quote-unquote saving? Like, people can die.
Retribution politics almost. But who are they taking? Like who are they hoping to get back at? It doesn't make sense to me.
No, I don't know either. I feel like politics has just gone to this point where it's just one middle finger to the group that didn't vote the same as you on both sides.
Yeah, and like this, like when they're deporting people, the way they're going about it, it doesn't look good to me. But I do understand. Like at least the underlying problem makes sense. I understand there is a problem with the border and people come in illegally. At least I can understand the objective. I don't get the objective with these public service cuts. They don't make sense.
It's
like the average person's worse off.
It's the Doge cuts that are concerning, and then there's another thing on the rise that's very concerning is the abduction of American citizens at protest, speaking their mind about something that the government doesn't agree with. and now they're being deported and held against their will
Yeah.
without a
They're
trial.
going to deport a bunch of citizens that way
Yes.
by accident, I reckon.
Yeah, and it's scary. It's like, goddamn. It's like, if so, you're telling me if someone from the government hears my podcast and they don't like what I have to say, that they could just come to my house, put me in a van, take me to a facility without a lawyer, without a trial, declare me an enemy of the state, and then deport me to an Ecuadorian prison that's known for death labor?
Yeah, like
It's insane.
that's not good. No, it's horrific.
And like, it's unfortunately that's I'm exaggerating a little bit, but like, it's the fact that they have already it very quickly, like, we're not even a year into this presidency, and 2 people have been arrested and threatened for deportation because they were at a protest at a university that they're a part of. Like, they weren't random. They didn't come to cause problems. They were just there voicing their opinion, and now they are being
Isn't
threatened
there
with
an
deportation.
amendment? Isn't there an amendment that's meant to protect that?
I don't know. I think that doesn't apply if it's something,
Isn't it?
if it hurts their feelings or something, if it makes them feel
Okay, never
not
mind.
so good.
I stand
Or-
corrected. To be fair, Australia doesn't actually have freedom of speech, so if the government wanted to do that, they could.
Yeah, well, that ain't cool. Hopefully they're
Uh,
not doing that willy-nilly. Wouldn't be a fun
Um,
place to live.
They're not doing it at the moment. Hopefully it stays that way. They want the government, the opposition wants to do a referendum to give them the power to strip citizenship from dual citizens, which is a bit different, but I would not vote in favor of that. Citizenship's not something to be revoked because somebody in office doesn't like something you said or did. I think that
Yeah,
principle.
feel like that's a major breach of power.
Yeah, which it makes dual citizens second class citizens. Like, if you don't want people being dual citizens, you should make the rules that you can't be a dual citizen. You have to renounce your previous citizenship to get Australian citizenship. You shouldn't have Australian citizenship as something you can just then revoke from them retrospectively whenever you want. I don't like that. If yeah, that doesn't sit right with me. This referendum is never going to happen though, so I'm not terribly worried about it.
Yeah, and then the same time, Elon's talking about we need to increase legal immigration, and then Donald Trump is, I don't know if it's still happening. The news cycle is fucking crazy over here, but he's talking about these $5 million gold cards, where if
Oh, our opposition party wants to bring that back too. Are they? Because like that, Australia used to have that, and it was revoked because it wasn't working. That makes me think: are they just copying fucking Trump again?
I feel like this is common because a lot of money launderers, when like if you have an illegal business, which I think all governments operate on an illegal level at some point, when you go to launder money, you have to get a citizenship somewhere else that can get you to like a Swiss bank or a Caribbean bank. And a lot of the people go to like the Caribbean islands, and the government has a stipulation to where like you invest a certain amount of money into their economy, you get a residency there, you can be a citizen. And to me, that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But when you have these fucking gold lottery tickets that you just sell for an exorbitant amount of money, and like you're viewed as an investor, quote unquote investor of America, or maybe Australia if they were to bring this back, does that mean I can sell my citizenship? Because obviously they could buy, someone else can just buy theirs. So now you're just, we're talking about the free market here and capitalism, right? Let me sell my citizenship.
I mean, I don't actually dislike the idea that someone a rich person who invests in your country can get citizenship. That sounds fun with me, but I'm just a bit concerned. Wait, it's just, to me, it's a wild coincidence. Wait, the opposition in Australia, they're conservative, Australian conservative.
Yeah.
Suddenly want to bring back the exact same policy Trump's talking about. I didn't realize that. I'm like, wait, hold on.
Yeah, I think there's some like echo chamber between our conservative party and your conservative party. I don't know.
Yeah, so our conservative party is split between like a faction that's like Republican and a faction that's Democratic. They're like that part of the spectrum. So their two factions hate each other. And so live in different media echo chambers. Like literally, there's like a different newspaper for each side of the Conservative Party.
Interesting.
You can guess which one I'm reading. It's not the right wing part.
Yeah, and there's something similar that we have over here. It's classical Republicans versus like Trump Republicans.
Yeah, the guy I work with is a classical Republican, for example.
Yeah.
The two-party system means they have to get along because otherwise you're never in power.
No, yeah. That's why I'm glad I know my Bible hymns still. You know, just in case the Gestapo comes knocking on my door and asks me if I still love Jesus, I can tell them yes.
True.
And God bless America.
Stop playing Jesus. He knows me.
Yeah.
See, I'm a loyal Christian.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a song about televangelists, by the way. It's got a line in it. I believe in the family. Got my ever-loving wife beside me. She doesn't know about my girlfriend or the man I met last night. That's
yeah. I know a bunch of old school Southern Baptist Bible hymns that were written by probably very racist white men, but we're not going to talk about that. Okay. And with that,
mega churches, been to mega churches?
No, I didn't. No, okay, I didn't go to a mega church. I went to a very small, like community-driven church. There were mega churches near me, but
that's nice.
I never went. I went to them as a kid because my parents didn't know any fucking better, and they were just trying to fix their marriage. And I would go to
as classic.
Yeah, and they had like these kid programs that like I would go to, but by the time I was like 13, I didn't like it because it felt fake as fuck. Because I'm sitting there watching my parents like give money to the pastor who's talking about he needs like a new jet to go to California for his other church in California, and
oh my god,
I had a dude. It's so funny how like I had the insight at 13 years old to be like, Mom, that guy's selling us bullshit, but not put the fucking dots together that maybe the mystical man in the sky that sent himself down to sacrifice himself to save us may not be real either.
And even if that guy did exist, I'm pretty sure he said some stuff a little bit contradictory to the private jet shit.
No,
isn't where he goes into the temple and overturns the money changers?
Yes, the only time ever in the Bible Jesus shows any type of anger is walking into the temple and seeing that it's been overran with merchants, and I feel like that's very powerful. And it's so funny that like the conservative values in this country are Christian. But Jesus was a brown man, extreme socialist, bum. He didn't work.
Yeah, he was. It's true.
He didn't work a job. He didn't have any money. He didn't have any belongings. He went from hobble to hobble, knocking on doors with 12 other homeless people, asking for the kindness of their heart to take them in. Didn't work a day in his life. And
he didn't. It's true.
Yeah, it's so funny that the parallel of religion and like what people actually practice and believe, because to be Christian is to be Christ-like. That is what the technical definition of Christian means, is to be Christ-like. And if that were true, 35% of our population would be homeless in other parts of the world spreading the gospel. But they're not. They're here doing the rat race every day in their Bentley.
You got to plant your seed in the church in order to become rich. Isn't that the saying?
Yeah, and then there's also the other saying that it is easier for a rich man. It's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than a rich man to get into heaven. Something like that.
But hard on rich men. Even I'm a bit, whoa, really that hard, Jesus?
Yeah, it's pretty fucking hard, man. And
that's tough standard.
Yes, it's basically impossible. You ever think one of the disciples was like there to dumb shit down?
I wonder. I mean, that's quite the statement. That's locking a lot of people out of heaven.
It is.
He really did not like rich people. I think that's the takeaway.
I did. he didn't like money. I think
No, he didn't.
I think he really viewed the idea of like currency as like evil. And to be honest, I think he might have been right.
I tell you, the stuff they're doing at the temple was pretty nasty with the I think they had a special type of I think they had like special temple shekels, that's what they were called, or something like that. You had to buy them off the priesthood at an inflated rate to donate to God. So you could only donate to
Oh,
God with the currency the priesthood sold you for
oh
real.
my
So I wonder why he
god.
was annoyed at that.
Dude, it's the more I talk about it, the more I realize like Jesus just had so much angst to him and so much edge for his time. And like
Yes.
he was morally correct. Like, you know, we have these edgy pieces of shit on Twitter that just like to say the N word, and they're like, I'm edgy because being edgy is cool. And it's like,
I'm based. I say the naughty word. I'm based.
yeah, I'm based, bro. I hate women. I'm based. Andrew Tate, based. And it's like, it's like, you know who really is based? And like, unironically, Jesus fucking Christ is pretty based for the time
Yeah, he was pretty
period.
based. He
And
went hard. I mean, he was willing to get nailed on the cross to prove what he believed in. That's
dude,
pretty
he
based, right?
fucking went for it. Dude, he took it gracefully, if you want to believe the
Yeah.
story. But
You know, the Romans executed everybody who claimed to be the Messiah, and he went ahead with it anyway. That is pretty based. I'm not gonna lie.
no, that's fucking. He's like, if you're the Messiah, let us kill you. And he's like, well, fuck, I'm the Messiah. This is my plan.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
hardcore dude. Anyway, should we wrap up now?
Yeah, I was
I
about
stopped
to.
you midway through.
No, I was about to say, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Base Tapes episode 5. What a crazy episode, from early beginnings of RuneScape to the shady underbelly of Counter-Strike gambling to politics and philosophy and history wrapped up in a 40-minute conversation. Dude, this has been an absolute pleasure and an honor. This was so much fun. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And before we end, can you say the famous outro?
Thanks very much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Otherwise, trust the numbers, not your gut. I'm Heyzeus. Thanks for watching. See ya.